Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us in the demo of our web application, Code Platoon Central, a centralized portal for coding bootcamp students and instructors. My name is Aidan Matchette, and I served in the United States Marine Corps for 5 years.
I'm John Winko. I served in the Navy for 20 years.
Hi, my name is Megan, and I served in the Navy for 6 years.
Hello, I'm Markos, Sankey, a 5-year Navy veteran, and I will be giving you a brief overview of our app, Code Platoon Central. As most of my fellow students know, coding boot camps are tough. One way that our group thought of to make it just a little bit easier was to centralize all of the info, the curriculum, feedback, and forums into one app. Our ultimate goal was to pack as many resources from our coding bootcamp as we could into one location. Some of the notable features that we are replacing or integrating into our app are Slack, GitHub, Google Forms, and Google Calendar. But Code Platoon Central is not just about the students. Our app includes features for instructors as well. Students have access to see their assigned groups, provide feedback, post to several question forums, and display a bio including some basic info about them and their social media contact info. As an instructor, the user has all that and more. Some of the instructor features include being able to accept students into cohorts, create questionnaires, view class attendance, and update the curriculum. With that, I'll hand it over to Megan to give us a brief walkthrough of how a typical student user may use Code Platoon Central.
Thanks, Markos. As a student in Code Platoon, I'm going to begin my day by logging into Code Platoon Central. When I log in, the first thing I see at the top of the page is the daily check-in button. I'll go ahead and click that now so I don't forget. Now on the left-hand side, I can see the README for today's lesson. And to the right, I can see a quick synopsis of today's topics as well as relevant links. I can also see that I've already been assigned to a group. It looks like I'll be working with John today. I wonder what time zone he's in. I can find his profile in the class roster. And I can see that he has an About Me section as well as his time zone displayed. Oh, great. It looks like we're working in the same time. This also reminded me that I had a partner yesterday too. I'm going to go fill out a feedback for that. This form will submit automatically as I type. So once I am filled in all the relevant questions, I'm good to move on. This also reminded me that my partner and I had an issue yesterday. I'm wondering if any of the other students had a similar problem. I'll go to the forums, and it looks like a couple questions are posted here, and some of them have been answered, but none of these are my questions. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new post. Does anyone know how to use lambdas in Python? All right, so that's posted. Hopefully someone is able to help me. In the meantime, though, I can use the search bar at the top of the page to try and find an answer that way. I'll go ahead and type in a keyword and see what I can come up with. Okay. All right, so this looks like it actually has what I need. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my post. And I'll make a comment saying that Python fundamentals solved this. And I'll also add a check by it so people know that this is my selected answer. I'm also going to make a feedback for the instructors so they know that that lesson was helpful. Okay, I'll select category as good. And I'll write help with lambdas. All right, great. And now that's submitted. I'll pass it over to John to give the instructor portion of our demo.
Thank you, Megan. We also had to consider the utility our app could bring to our instructors and TAs. When we log in as an instructor, we have a very similar landing page as the students, but with more access. On the right, I can edit the links applicable for the duration of the cohort. But as I'm looking at today's lesson, I notice it's outdated. When I click the refresh lesson in the sidebar, the app will pull the latest changes from the curriculum through GitHub's API and make it available to everyone in the cohort. I also need to track students that have signed up but not yet been assigned to a cohort. After clicking pending students, I can assign them to a cohort, and now they have access to everything shown previously in the student portal. I also need to take attendance. You saw earlier that the students had a big orange button reminding them to check in. Here, I can see the results of who has or has not checked in for the day. As I watch my screen, I can see the updates as the class starts checking in. Now that everyone is checked in, we'll go back to the landing page. We can see that a group is created and its members, but that was a bit premature because there were students that could not attend today. When I create a group, I can specify multiple criteria, such as if staff should be included or only those that are checked in. This also randomizes the group assignments. You saw the questionnaire earlier for the pair programming feedback, but I can also create a questionnaire on the fly. So I'll create a questionnaire for giving just lesson feedback. After I create the questionnaire, I see it at the bottom. And here I can start adding questions, such as, how was the pace? I can also add which topics were the most difficult. After I create the questions, everyone can open the questionnaire to provide their responses. We also have many guest speakers that have access to an external Google Calendar for scheduling their presentations. We can use the calendar on the sidebar for a quick view of the events and then look at specific information a speaker has provided. There are also times I may need to call on someone randomly, so our random person generator picks a random student that has checked in for the day. Every week, we need to check in on the good and the bad based on the student feedback. So for our retro, I can see all the students' feedback, as well as how favorable or unfavorable their feedback was in the eyes of their peers. Of course, I can always vote as well just to keep things fair. And now I'll hand it over to Aidan to discuss our technology and challenges.
Thanks, John. As seen on the slide, there were a number of frameworks and technologies that went into the creation of Code Platoon Central. Some notable technologies that we used are Django and Django REST framework for the backend, React.js to handle the user experience on the front end, and a Postgres database to manage and store all of our data. There was also additional technology that we leveraged to create Code Platoon Central. Some of those additional technologies are JSON Web Tokens to securely manage all authentication for instructors and students. React Bootstrap and Material UI provided users with an attractive and easy to use design. And we use Git to handle code management and version control. Next, I will talk about a few of the challenges our team faced throughout the development process. Though our journey of developing Code Platoon Central didn't have many major blockers, there were some challenges throughout the process. These challenges are Git conflicts, data modeling, inconsistent styling libraries, and formatting and linting. The first of our challenges was handling Git conflicts. During the beginning stage of the project, we had to figure out a Git workflow that would work for us. After handling a few painful merge conflicts, we learned a system that worked and we were able to smoothly integrate all of our own development branches into our main branch, resulting in a very smooth workflow. The next challenge was data modeling. Making all of the sample data from scratch was both time consuming and made errors difficult to track down. Making sure the team was all using the most up-to-date data proved to be a difficult task, but through consistent and effective communication, our team was able to properly manage all of the data changes. Another challenge we faced was having inconsistent styling libraries. Our team had different levels of familiarity and knowledge about the two main styling libraries we used, Material UI and React Bootstrap. Because of this, our styling was not as organized at the beginning of the project. But as we continued to learn more about each library and our skills levels and confidence grew, it eventually allowed us to standardize the styling throughout the entire project, making the user experience more intuitive and clean cut. Finally, formatting and linting. As a team, something that caused some mild setbacks was each team member's individual formatting and linting settings on their local machines. This caused some different formatting errors and warnings within NPM that were a nuisance. In retrospect, before the project started, all team members should have communicated and decided on a formatter and linter that would have worked for the goals of the team and the project. You might be curious of what's next. We have some great plans for the future of Code Platoon Central. To start, tighter integration with GitHub API for edits and auto refresh upon any changes. More visual customization for markdown renderings, such as integrating code blocks and proper syntax highlighting. Bidirectional Slack integration for chat. This would include real-time messaging between all members of the cohort, resulting in a centralized communication hub. That wraps up our demo of Code Platoon Central. Feel free to contact the team at any time. And with that, I will now open up the room for any questions.